All right, looks like it's going good. Welcome to the Disturbing Illusion channel. I apologize for the technical difficulties. It's because you have a brain dead host who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. We are going to go over this video right here where Charlemagne the God and CIA asset Anderson Pupa run a triple psychological operation. We're going to explain that in a second, but apparently I've become quite the unpopular guy here on the interwebs because I dare point out the fact that Kamala Harris is a money grubbing, parasitic political psychopath. And apparently, people are mad at me on the Here's the Deal channel because I'm pointing out the fact that Donald Trump could rightly be called Donald Father the Vax, Operation Warp Speed, red flag laws, $8.4 trillion in international banking cartel debt, and a friend of Henry Kissinger. And he's got a lot of respect for Hillary and Bill Clinton Trump. So apparently they're mad at me because I'm either telling the truth and they can't handle the truth, or I'm telling lies and they got a big problem with it and they're going to unsub me. Either way, we got to talk about demonstrable fact. We got to talk about objective truth, and we got to call spades a spade. And you got to be honest with yourself on how low you are willing to go, how far you are willing to run away from your principles and all that is right to embroil yourself in the cult of personality. So I don't personally understand it. It's like, you start talking about politicians and people take it personally because they've internalized somehow that Kamala Harris is their mother or something, that Donald Trump is their father, that they actually are. You don't know your mother and you don't really know. You could hang out with them all the time. You could have an extremely loving relationship with them, but you don't know. You haven't spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with them. Let's say, how old are your parents? 50, 60, 70 years old? How much time have you actually spent with them? What I'm trying to say is the people that you're the most intimate with in your life, that you're the closest to, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your spouse, you don't really know them. You got a gist. If they're honest with you and you're honest with them, then you have a really good working relationship, but you don't know everything about them. You don't know their secrets, what kind of person they really are, unless you've got that real deep connection. My point is, why do people talk like they know who Kamala Harris is? Like Kamala Harris is them. You think maybe, I'm just spitballing here. Do you think maybe it's a possibility that Kamala Harris is a freaking liar? Is there a possibility that she's talking about policies she has no intention on implementing? And besides that, is she even in control anyway? And then you say that, and they are deeply disturbed and offended to the point where it's like a visceral response, and then they attack you. They come out against you like you just said something about them or their mother or their father. Same with the Donald Trump crowd. People really take this politics and they take religion personally. It's almost like, holy cow, you're acting like you're one of the 12 disciples or something, one of the 12 apostles. What's going on with this? Yeah, it is the cult of personality. And I think a lot of times one of the biggest propaganda campaigns in politics is the campaign of relatability. You know how they'll do this ad and they'll have the politician at a work site and they're looking at plans and they're kind of pointing up like they're actually doing something, or they're walking with a neighbor, they're picking up a puppy dog, or they're kissing a baby. This is the propaganda of relatability. It's a psychological operation. It's a psychological technique to get you to look at a political parasite, a psychopath, like they're one of you. They're from your community. They're from your neighborhood. I'm from these streets, Kamala Harris says. It's all just such a train wreck dog and pony show. So let's go ahead and get in this. Appreciate you guys being here. Nitsu's here, Todd's here, Robert. The pig's daughter's here. I did not expect the pig's daughter to be here. Did not expect that. Chainsaw Cat, Samuel, Swamp Lover. What's the matter, you? Unhinged Lunatic. We've got the whole cast and crew here. Levels above trading. All right, let's listen to Charlemagne the God and CIA asset Anderson Pupa. Oh boy. Yep. Oh, that was cool. No, I think I'll buy it. All right, come on. Come on. Do you agree with the percent? I don't want to do this. All right, here we go. Let's start. Guys, every president is a fascist. Let me explain why. Fascism is just the merger of state and corporate powers. Okay. When you have a corporation, you have the state. When you have the state, you have a corporation. When you got 28 USC 300215A, the United States means federal corporation. The corporation is the state and the state is the corporation. That's fascism. They have it in their own US code. Yes, we're a fascist state. We're an oligarchy. We're a technocracy. I mean, whatever. There are elements, strong elements of socialism and communism. And this idea of democracy, yeah, they want the tyranny of the majority, or they want to make it look like it's the tyranny of the majority because they want to make it look like they have the consent of a whole bunch of people before they start doing evil things, so that when they do those evil things, they can say, well, we did that with the approval of the majority. So yeah, we have it. It's clear that Donald Trump is a fascist, but so is Kamala Harris. So is Joe Biden. It's a corporate government state sponsored merger, and it's indistinguishable. Even their own US codes, it's indistinguishable. The state is indistinguishable from the federal corporation. They call the United States, quote, a federal corporation. That is the very definition of fascism. So why is it surprising to learn that Donald Trump is a fascist? He's going to be the CEO of the corporation, of the federalized corporation, if he becomes president, if they've selected him to become the president. Same with Kamala Harris, same with Biden, same with Obama, same with Clinton. They were all fascists. Why is that a surprise? I mean, we just got to be honest. We got to be honest with our own national soul or something. You know what question's been running through my mind all day today? I don't know why. It's just been running in the back of my mind. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and yet lose his very soul? What does it profit? Think about that. If you knew you could gain the whole world, and if it was possible to lose your soul, and just when you depart your body, if that's how I don't even know if that's how it works. I don't know if when we die, we become worm dirt. I don't know if we have a spirit or a soul. I know we have a body because I can see it. There's autopsies and you can cut it apart and you can see the heart and you can see all the internal organisms and the nerves and brain and eyeballs and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. And none of us do. None of us know. None of us had the knowledge that when we leave, when our bodies die and we're buried, that our spirit goes to be someplace, whether in eternal bliss or in eternal torment. But what if it was true? None of us knows. You might say you believe so strongly that you believe, but belief is not knowledge, and knowledge is not belief. Knowledge is knowing. Belief is I think I got a grasp on this, but you might not. So let's just say if you gain the entire world, I mean all the assets of the world, you controlled the dirt, the sky, the clouds, every building that's ever built, every man and woman that's ever been born, you control it all. And at the end of your life, and let's say you live 117 years, let's give you the maximum amount of life. 117. What's the oldest guy? 123 years old. You live the maximum life and you were healthy from day one to day 123, to year 123. And you gain the whole world, but in gaining the whole world, you have to give up your soul at the very end. How ridiculous. You're going to give up your eternal soul, if that's a thing, for 117 or 123 years of perfect life. It makes no sense. You're going to be dead and in torment or bliss for way longer than you're alive. I mean, way longer. It's once you get past that 123, and now it's 1,023 years past your death, then 2,500 years, 25,000, 500,000 years, a billion years past. It's like it wasn't even. Now you're getting so far. It wasn't even a blip. You can't even detect it on your eternal radar. And yet people are literally giving away their souls for a vote, just to vote for a known psychopathic, parasitic, welfare recipient liar. We are literally selling our souls, if that was such a thing, for popcorn and peanuts. not not far from the entire world. Let's say you could own all the Bitcoin in existence right now. You would be a multi billionaire. It's just hit new highs of 72,500 or something like that. It's probably going to break all new highs, but you could own all the Bitcoin. Would you give away your soul for that? How dumb, how utterly desperately stupid. And that's what we're talking about here. That's why we're talking about Charlemagne the God and the psychological operation being run by Anderson Pupa here, CIA asset Anderson Pupa. That's how stupid we have become as a human race. That's why I've been thinking of, what does it profit you? What is the real eternal profit for gaining the world, but at the end of it, after you've enjoyed the entire world at your disposal, you own all the airlines, you own all the buildings, all the real estate, all the people, everybody can do your bidding, you can do whatever you want to, but at the end of it, you lose your soul. Makes you realize what a hollow existence most people live when they're going to the voting booth like a bunch of zombies. And then people look, here's an example of selling your soul, guys. And when I say sell your soul, you are literally walking away from principle and all that is holy and just and right, if there's such a thing as holy. This guy, Robert Ballin, says Brian Young has a taxpayer funded pension and yet he rails against the government. Prove it. Prove it. Bring the receipts. Where's my taxpayer funded pension? People, when somebody's willing to be outright dishonest like that, you can never trust them ever. Once you type this, it's not just that the internet is eternal. There's some kind of eternal mechanism in the universe where if you say something or do something, it's always recorded. It's not that you can't record it somewhere by something somewhere. I don't know. I don't know how it works. But Robert is literally willing to put himself way out on that limb to say something he absolutely cannot prove. For what? What did you gain by that, Robert? Oh my God, this is an example. And anybody who's going to make a stupid comment or an ad hominem attack, and I know that one guy that's constantly hounding me thinks that ad hominems are not a big deal. It is. Your character is everything. Your reputation, your true, not just how people perceive you, but your true reputation, who you actually are as a person actually matters in the span of eternity, in my opinion. I could be dead wrong. Could be dead wrong. Just make sure. I mean, I think it would be a good idea to live a life where whatever they write on your tombstone, because you know it's going to be good, whatever words they eulogize for you, and you know it's going to be good because you've seen people eulogize into heaven. You're like, Uncle Ralph was a freaking pervert, and they just talked about him like he's Saint Peter or something. I know what Uncle Ralph did, and I know how he lived, and it ain't that. But nobody ever stands up and goes, excuse me, I want to interrupt your eulogy here. The guy you're describing is not the guy laying over there in that casket. Let me tell you the truth. So if somebody's going to eulogize you, and you know they're going to use flowery words, they're going to say, oh my God, he was the best friend I ever had. He's the neighbor that you always wanted. He's the guy who would help not only a little later over the road, but also take a kitty down from the highest tree for Aunt Sadie. No, he wouldn't have done that. Make sure whatever your perceived reputation is true and right and noble and good. And of good rapport. Oh, Robert. Oh, Robert. Roll butts. I don't understand it. Unbelievable. All right, so let's see. What's up for the glory of Christ? I just saw you. Okay, let's get back to Charlemagne, the God. Crazy. Dang it. Let's start at the beginning. All right, I'm done. Okay, let's stay on point. The clip has no audio? You hear nothing? Doggone it. Okay, let's see. Let me get rid of this clip. Let's see. Remove. Present, stop screen, present, share screen. Thank you. Thank you guys. Whew, I'm glad I didn't go that far into it. Share, add to stage. Got it. Okay, let me see if you can tell me if you can hear this.
I think that her saying that she thinks don't.
Can you hear CIA asset Anderson Pupada? Fix the audio. We hear still no audio.
That she believes Donald Trump is a fascist.
Wait a minute. You guys still can't hear it? I know I clicked the tab this time. I can undo it and re-click the tab, but I did it this time. You can hear me, but not hear. Tell me if you can hear Anderson. Put Pooper in the room if you can hear Anderson.
Got a lot of headlines because it was the first time she said it. She's been going along for days.
Oh, you hear it now, Chainsaw Cat? South Bama. What's up, South Bama Gump? All right, here we go. Let's start at the beginning. Enough of this fooling around. I don't think we've been fooling around, but here we go.
I think that her saying that she thinks that she believes Donald Trump is a fascist got a lot of headlines because it was the first time she said it. She's been going along for days saying Mark Milley said he's a fascist. This person said this. You raised the question of authenticity in your interview with her, and that was an authentic moment where she says, "Yeah, I do think he's a fascist," and I think that's why it had a reaction. Donald Trump, he, for whatever you think about him, if you like him, if you hate him, he is certainly who he is. He's showing us who he is every single day.
Yeah, which is a fascist. And it's crazy because you still don't have news networks having that conversation. Like when somebody says, when somebody questions Kamala Harris's blackness or is he a DEI hire, y'all will have roundtable discussions about that, asking that question. How come you're not having roundtable discussions asking, is Donald Trump a fascist? Actually, not even asking it, stating it. I mean, when you look at the things that he's talking about doing, jailing journalists, jailing his political opponents, turning the military on American citizens, the guy that—
Wait a second. Everything he just said can apply to the most popular president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Everything he just said. So if you're going to call Donald Trump a fascist, then you have to be consistent and call Abraham Lincoln a fascist, but nobody's going to do it because it's a religion, it's a cult, and one of the gods in the pantheon of this cult is Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. Now, some people could say, Brian, you're being such a hypocrite because you always quote the founding fathers. Yeah, because they're quotable. I would quote, if Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton said something that was in accordance with truth and righteousness and goodness and nobility, why not use it? It's in accordance with that which is right. That's what psychopaths do. Psychopaths don't just lie to you. They mix the truth with the lies. So when a psychopath like Abraham Lincoln comes up with a really good quote, or Samuel Adams or whatever, it's just true because it's true, not because that guy said it. Maybe he got some kind of special understanding at that point and he got his quill pen and he dipped it in the ink and he wrote it down and, it just kind of stuck. But to say that, to put the character of Abraham Lincoln on the scale of righteousness is way, way beyond a lie. So they just described everything that not only Abraham Lincoln does, but every single president of the United States, because they become the figurehead puppet, the CEO of the Title 28, Section 3002, 15A federal corporation. Let me just go ahead and give you that right here. Look at this. This is an actual U.S. code, guys. And a lot of, I venture to say that a large portion, I don't know what portion, but a large portion of Americans are not even aware that there is a U.S. code, let alone 28 U.S.C. 3002 15A. So this is 3002. Here's section 15. Here's part A. The United States means a federal corporation. Hey, you know what? When the psychopaths say it, just believe it. That's what it is. That's how they run it. They can run up the debt. They can shatter the glass ceiling of the debt, the debt limit. They can run to the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department and have them, buy T-bills and release a whole bunch of cash under quantitative easing. And then they can create inflation or deflationary situations, whatever suits them, however they make the most money. Do you know that one of the major reasons they create inflation, it's the hidden tax, and there's a transfer of wealth there that a lot of people don't see? It's not just you paying, instead of $1.50 for a dozen eggs, $5. Where did that extra money come from? Where did that extra $3.50 go to? It went somewhere. If it came out of your pocket, it went into somebody else's pocket. If matter is neither created nor destroyed, neither is wealth. It just transfers from one person to another, or from one person to a group, or from one group to another. When you have inflation, when you have the hidden tax, you've literally got an operation going where they transfer wealth in broad daylight from you to somebody else. It goes into somebody else's pocket. So what they do is they issue a quantitative easing or quantitative tightening policy, because they got to balance. If the inflation gets too high, people get too uncomfortable, and then there could be an uprising, and we can't have that. So they balance it out and they extract that wealth. So whoever spends that money at the top, as it trickles down, they extract all the value of that, say, $1.50 2x4, when it used to cost $3.50. When I moved to Oklahoma in 2008, a 2x4 was $1.67. A 2x4x8, think about this, was $1.67. That's not even pressure treated. Just a regular 2x4, $1.67. The pressure treated is more, but the $1.67. And then I saw 2x4 prices as high as $8.50, $9. Where did that wealth go when it left my pocket? Well, it went to the lumber yard, but they're paying inflationary taxes too. So it went to the people who control the issuance and value of your currency. That's why it can never be a president of the United States who fixes a problem that the Federal Reserve and their cartel henchmen broke. So the United States is a federal corporation, which means every figurehead for that corporation is, by definition, a fascist. And they're just sitting here talking about nothing that matters at all, because they're not going to get to the root of the problem. Frank's got brain cancer. Yeah, but he's got that grown in toe, that hangnail. He's got a hangnail on his big right toe. So these people are sitting here talking about a hangnail on your big right toe, or actually, it's a slight skin abrasion. It's not even a hangnail, because a hangnail would cause pain. It's a slight skin abrasion on your right pinky toe when you've got a golf ball size, rapidly metastasizing cancer growing in your brain. So these are the doctors sitting around going, God, what should we do about that minor skin abrasion on his pinky toe on his right foot, when the scan clearly shows, the CAT scan clearly shows that it's growing by the minute, and they're looking at your toe when they should be looking at your head and determining the course of action. This is what I see right here. This is the psychological operation.
You want to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. How come that is not the topic of discussion on network?
Even that's minuscule. Overthrowing an election. This is a democratic society. This person is an existential threat to our democracy. That is an abrasion on the toe.
Works like CNN every day.
But do you think that, you were raising this with Kamala Harris about her own authenticity, about her own willingness to just, say things that aren't crafted. Do you think she needs to do more of that? Trump's going to go. Trump's going to go. Apparently, yes. Apparently, Trump's is going to tape a thing with Joe Rogan. Do you think she should do that?
I think that she should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist, and I think that Americans need to keep looking at the rhetoric of Donald Trump, because I don't know why we're even thinking of
how shallow. Kamala Harris should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist, and the people on Donald Trump's side is Donald Trump should keep calling Kamala Harris Comrade Kamala a Marxist. So Donald Trump's calling Kamala Harris a Marxist. Kamala Harris is calling Donald Trump a fascist. And the bankers are going, here's the bankers are here. We don't care what they call each other, as long as we get them to dehumanize and demoralize themselves by going to the voting booth and pushing that button and pulling that lever for that psychopathic political parasite, both of whom we own, because we own the political parties, RNC and DNC, which reminds me, we are going to talk a little bit about Bernie Sanders' utter hypocrisy and the brain dead followers, the brain pickled, desensitized zombie followers after what Bernie Sanders said about picking Kamala Harris and why he was still going to do it when there's a genocide going on in Gaza. Holy smokes.
about electing somebody who's talking about putting people in camps. I don't know why why we want to elect somebody who's talking about mass deportation. I don't know why we're having this conversation about somebody who wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. Aren't we supposed to be a patriotic country? Whenever somebody like Colin Kaepernick takes a knee in this country, everybody talks about, oh, that's so unpatriotic. But a guy can say he wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election and nobody cares.
And
like even me bringing it up now, you brought it back to Kamala and Joe Rogan. Anderson?
Yeah.
Who gives a damn?
Well, I mean, I think you give a damn who's elected president. And
yeah,
I'm
especially if that president is a fascist. That's talking about putting people in camps. That's talking about, once again, terminating the Constitution.
Let's see. Let's be consistent, Charlemagne. I would love to go on the Breakfast Club. Let's be consistent, Charlemagne. You're railing against Trump because you think he's a fascist and you think he's going to put people in camps. Let's see. Who's one of your heroes that you've talked about many times on your broadcast? Oh, that's right. FDR. Wasn't he one of those presidents that put a whole bunch of Japanese Americans to the tune of like 120 to 150,000 Japanese? He interned them for 3 years in unsufferable, horrible conditions. And yet they won't say FDR is a fascist. See, that's what I got a serious problem with. And I guess that's why a lot of people have a serious problem with me, because if I'm going to hold one group of people to this standard, then I'm not going to join this group of people with this leader who are violating that standard. And that's exactly what politics is. It's just a bunch of hypocritical little schoolyard children screaming back and forth about how my dad's better. And this guy says, my dad will beat your dad up. My Kamala will beat your Donnie up. That's how this is so childish. Demoralized, dehumanized, brain-pickled, zombieized masses.
To overthrow the results of an election. That's talking about, jailing his political opponents. Like, that rhetoric doesn't scare people.
Well, we talk about this every single. This is what
I don't think
I've been talking about this every night.
I don't think y'all have enough conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about Donald Trump being a fascist.
Well,
am I wrong, Angela?
Honestly, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like that.
That's no,
Go
that
ahead,
is that. No, I'm not. Look, I'm a huge fan of yours.
Okay,
but to say that we're sitting around talking.
By the way, all these people on this Counterfeit News Network show are on the same team. This is a show. This is a pre-show. Just look at this as a pre-show for a Super Bowl or a WWE interlude right before the next two wrestlers take the mat. This is what this is.
Discussing is Kamala Harris black? Like
I've seen that. I've seen those
that's
roundtable discussions a lot. Now that's
true.
bullshit, Anderson. For you to say that y'all don't have those conversations.
I've never asked somebody is.
I'm not saying
Kamala
you.
Harris
I said the
Not you.
network.
He said the network.
I don't think anyone I don't think any anchor on this network has been going around saying, "Is she black?"
Y'all have never had
definitely.
We have had. Look, I'm sure we have had, nutty people or people who have strongly held beliefs who I may disagree with, who somewhere on some panel have said something, but I will just speak up for what I do on the show. I do believe it's important to get people different viewpoints as long as they're willing to have a legitimate conversation. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, look what Ron Blevin says. I'm actually finding it difficult to think of a president who wasn't corrupt. And I mean, not that I give other presidents in the past pre-1913, not that they're out of trouble by any means, as far as from the perspective of, if you're going to look through the lens of righteousness and goodness and wholesomeness. But especially after 1913, it becomes pretty evident who owns who. If there's a group of people, if there's a cartel, or let's just call them a family, a familia, a mafia. Let's say there's a mafia that controls the issuance and value of the currency. Well, they own everything, and it really doesn't matter who's the congressman, senators. It doesn't matter how many people in the House are Democrat or Republican. They own you. And how do they own you? Because they own the time, your time and your labor, whether you're making legislative bills to become laws, or you're a factory worker hammering out steel, or you're changing tires, or you're painting nails. They own your time and your labor. They own the value of it. If they own the value of it, they own the whole thing. If we remove that from society, we remove the ability to fund wars. We remove the ability to incentivize people to come across the border if that's something you don't want. And people are like, are you for open borders, Brian? You know what I'm for? I'm for market borders. The market will determine if there's going to be a border there. We don't need the state determining for us and then stealing money from us so that they can support and fund the enforcement of the border. If you seriously think about this, guys, I might lose a lot of people on this statement right here, okay? But I'm just going to say it. Are you really, really against theft? I mean, do you see theft as a grave immorality? Are you really, really against murder? Do you see murder as something that regular, normal, righteous human beings don't do? How about rape? How do you feel about rape? How do you feel about forcing somebody to do something that they don't want to do simply because you just want to control them? How do you feel? Because that's what theft is. You're forcing the evaporation of assets against somebody's will. You're breaking into somebody's house, you're stealing somebody's car or whatever. You're doing something to somebody you wouldn't want done to yourself. Same with, on the sexual front. You don't want somebody forcing themselves on you. If you guys both agree, then that's mutual consent, and that's that's what adults do. But as soon as one person stops agreeing and says, "No, I don't want this," and the other person forces anyway, that's where it crosses the border and becomes rape. So what do you really feel about rape, murder, and theft? Are you really, really against it? Absolutely. I'm against psychopaths, theft, murder, and rape until they want to become my elected officials. And then I vote for theft, murder, rape, and psychopathy. That makes no sense. It's not logical. It's not righteous. It's not good. It can only be construed as evil, right? I mean, am I wrong? I know I'm simplistic, and I know I say this stuff all the time, but I try to think of ways where I can make it more simple so that more people can understand, and so that truth can hit them and go, wait a second, I am voting for evil people. I can't do that. It's my conscience won't let me do that. That's why I say, like with Larkin Rose, politics is the clever and deceptive art, because that's what it is. It's a psychological operation. It's a psychological, maybe even a spiritual technique to get people to come down, not to elevate and edify them, but to tear them down to the point where they're actually going to vote for, give their consent to, and support the most evil people that humanity has ever had to offer. So if you're against theft and force, unjust force and violence and brutality and murder and rape, then you can't vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Barack Obama. You just can't. But you don't understand, Brian. If I don't vote for Donald Trump, Kamala Harris will get in. Who cares? Then she got in, or he got in, or was selected, because it's not an election process, guys. Even if you could choose which one, you can't, because they're both paid for. Even if the majority ruled, which it doesn't, it's the Electoral College. Look it up. Look it up in the Constitution, and look how electors work. Electors can actually act independent of the voters that they're supposedly representing. So there's all these barriers, all these hurdles to get through your land of fiction, to even show you that at the end of it, even if everything is as you thought it was, your vote still doesn't count. And you've still, at the end of it, you've still demoralized yourself. Do you not understand this? We don't need rigged elections. The entire thing is a rig. It's like, you know what? WWE is rigged. Okay. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Everybody who's an adult, that has an adult, well-formed brain and has logical thinking and critical thinking skills, knows that WWE is it's just entertainment. The guys go into the ring as buddies, acting like they're enemies, of course. They slit their foreheads and let the blood drip and hit themselves with folding chairs. And at the end of it, them and Vince McMahon go behind the curtain and they divvy up the profits from you suckers who believed it was all real. That's exactly what politics is. How does anybody not understand that? Especially after a 4-year presidency of Donald Trump, where everybody who voted for him in 2016 thought, we're going to make America great again. Did he do it? Did he make America great again? Is filling the swamp making America great again, MAGA? Is it really? Did he fill the swamp, or did he drain the swamp? You know he filled it. Just be honest. See, that's another thing about politics. Politics gives people an excuse to be dishonest with themselves and then cover it up, and they feel good about it because they can get with a whole bunch of other people who are also dishonest with themselves, and then they can all get together and try to convince themselves and each other that they are not being dishonest, that they're actually being truthful, and that they really do have a savior who did make America great again, when everything is a complete fiction and everything that they said was false. How is $8.4 trillion of transgenerational banker debt and slavery, which is what debt is, it's debt slavery for future unborn American children and future adults, how is $8.4 trillion making America great again? How is I'm the friend of and respect Henry Kissinger making America great again? How is I not only didn't lock Hillary Clinton up, but I also protected her, and I admit to my crowd that I protected her, and I got a lot of respect for those two, Bill and Hillary Clinton. How is that making America great again? How is being on the hook for at least $600 million when he got upside down with Taj Mahal in Atlantic City in the 1990s and was bailed out by Rothschilds Inc.? Not kidding. Look it up. The Rothschilds Inc. representative was Wilbur Ross. 25 years later, he gives Rothschild Inc. representative Wilbur Ross the Commerce Secretary job. How is that making America great again? How is making America great again when you have a Goldman Sachs globalist, Steve Mnuchin, as the Treasury Secretary? How is that making America great again? How are bump stock bans, which criminalize tens of thousands, if not 1 million of Americans who hold a piece of plastic that gives a capability to their gun, their AR-15 or whatever, criminalizing those people in the name of a bump stock ban? How is that making America great again? I mean, seriously, I could sit here all day long, and these same things apply to you Kamala Harris supporters. Just shaking my head, man, going, what are we doing here? What are we freaking doing here? Chad says, Brian, it's the lesser of two evils. Did you see my last video? I love Andy. Love him. Love Andy. It reminded me of a character on Andy Griffith, actually. You know, he's like an Otis or a Barney. Real character. Seemed like he was a real good guy, but he's voting for Donald Trump. And he knows he's evil. He knows that he got us into banker debt. He knows he was a sellout for the big pharma industrial complex. And so does all those people that I'm interviewing. They all know it. And yet they're just going to vote for him anyway, because you know what? Can't get any more demoralized than demoralized, I guess. All right, back to Anderson Pupa.
What I don't like are surrogates who come out and just spout talking points that they don't even believe. And those are people I tried to eliminate from having ever on the air again.
I think no network has honest conversations about Donald Trump. Nobody's had honest conversations about Donald Trump since 2016. I saw last night they were talking.
So what does that mean? Charlemagne the God is making an accusation the Counterfeit News Network is a lying organization. They're not even telling the truth when they talk about Donald Trump. If they're not talking about the truth about Donald Trump, they're not talking about the truth about anything.
Talking about, the double standard that exists between Donald Trump and the vice president, but it's always a double standard with Trump, whether it's with Hillary, whether it's, against Biden, now with Kamala. We talk about him being a threat to democracy, but we don't treat him like one.
I mean, I don't know what you've been watching, but I don't know of any Trump supporters out there or people who like him who are tuning in to me every night to try to get, to be validated in their opinions. I don't know. I don't know. I disagree.
I don't think it's about validating. What you mean, validating the Trump?
Well, you're saying that we're not, that I guess you're saying I'm not discussing all the things he is saying and doing and pointing it out and talking to, what John Kelly, I mean, this has been discussed. There's nobody, let me just say, there is nobody on the planet who has not heard and seen pretty much everything Donald Trump has said and knows.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Well, knows who he is, whether they.
All right, I'm done with this. This is dumb. All right, so let's get to real quick. Oh, look, there's our guy, Donnie. Let's see, where is it? Okay, I'm just going to go through a couple of lines here, but let's see. Okay, this is at 114. I want to show you this. There are some dyed-in-the-wool Bernie supporters. So I'm going to come back to the 114 mark. Listen to what he says at the very beginning, then I'm going to play 114. Listen to this.
I understand that there are millions of Americans who disagree with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the terrible war in Gaza.
Millions of people disagree with Biden and Harris on the terrible war in Gaza. And in case you don't understand what he's saying, he clarifies it right here. Listen.
Share those feelings. And some of you are saying, how can I vote for Kamala Harris if she is supporting this terrible war?
How can anybody support Kamala Harris if she's supporting this terrible war? And then he says,
And that is a very fair question.
It is a very fair question. So he established that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are supporting the terrible genocidal war in Gaza, but he's going to lay the case out for the next 5 minutes and 30 seconds about how he's still going to vote for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who are for genocide in Gaza, because voting for Trump would be worse. How about voting against the war in Gaza? Because that's the only principled position, Bernie. And yet you look under this video right here, and people are saying stupid stuff like the best president we never had. The Democrat Party owes Bernie Sanders. He has fought for them. He's not fighting for Gaza. He's not fighting for blown up family members. I'm Canadian. I always like listening to Bernie Sanders. Makes more sense than anyone. It's senseless and it is immoral. Bernie, thank you from the bottom of my cynical, tired, broken heart for being the voice of well-reasoned logic in these absolutely crazy times. I don't know, maybe, and don't think for a second, when you're thinking along the lines of morality, do to others what you would want done to you, principle, consistency and principle, don't think for a second that you're the crazy one when you stay consistent and everybody else is going, but you got to vote. If you don't vote for Donald Trump, it's a vote for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is crowded. If you don't vote for Kamala Harris, it's a vote for Donald Trump. Don't buy into that. I agree. It's never a good idea to measure yourself by the insanity of the world, and most of the world, believe me. Well, I can't say most of the world, but a good portion that I've seen is utterly insane. It's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. It's a profoundly sick society that looks at a Bernie Sanders and goes, thank you from the bottom of my cynical heart. You're the voice of logic and reason and rationality and righteousness. No, you're not. If you're voting for somebody that you just said supports a genocide in Gaza, and the reason you're going to support your monster who supports the genocide in Gaza is because you don't want to vote for the other monster who supports a genocide in Gaza. So you got genocidal Gaza supporter number 1 or genocidal Gaza supporter number 2. Which one you going to pick? You got to pick one of them. This is the very guy who would pick, I don't know, Mao Zedong over Joseph Stalin because he racked up a smaller body count. And both of them racked up a body count of, historically speaking, I don't know, it could be false, but from what I've read, Mao Zedong and Stalin racked up tens of millions of bodies of their own countrymen. That's how evil and wicked they are. And Bernie Sanders would be going, well, we got to vote for Stalin because you don't want the body count of Mussolini. Or Mao Zedong or Mussolini. Utterly. How about withdraw? How about I don't vote for evil? Kill. Just, what's the worst that can happen to you? Take everything I got, throw me in a dungeon, kill me. Because I'm not voting for you. You don't get my approval. So that when you shred to pieces little people that are innocent, you're doing it with my consent. Listen to the rest of this. I'm just going to play one other little clip right here. Let's see. Let me open this tab and shove that over there. And then push this. We'll get back to him in a second. Let's listen to this.
And let me give you my best answer.
I'm going to play like 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds of his answer. Let's expand this.
And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse. In the Senate, in Congress, the Republicans have worked overtime to block humanitarian aid to the starving children in Gaza.
Guess who else is doing that right now as we speak? His princess bride, Kamala Harris.
President and vice president both support getting as much humanitarian aid into Gaza as soon as possible. Trump has said Netanyahu is doing a good job and has said Biden is holding him back. He has suggested that the Gaza Strip would make excellent beachfront property for development. And it is no wonder Netanyahu prefers to have Donald Trump in office. But even more importantly, and this I promise.
Do you really think, this is a propaganda. I didn't even catch this the first time. Do you think Netanyahu gives a damn who's president of the United States? Do you not think Netanyahu is also a puppet dangling on the banker strings, and that he also has to sign the WWE contract in his own blood or whatever. And he's playing along with the charade, you know, good guy, bad guy, Kamala bad, Donald Trump good. Do you not think he's playing that? We have no idea the measure of wealth that these people have accumulated, and not just the wealth, but the power that goes along with it, and the influence that they have to work their evil deeds, and the off the book black ops that they run that will never show up on any kind of audit of the Fed or the IRS. Do you not think these guys are sneakier than that? I mean, think about it. If you had $1 million at your disposal, that is a lot of money. Think about think about the freedom under the sun that you had if you had $1 million. Now think about if you had $10 million, $100 million. These guys don't even just have access to billions of dollars. They own the assets of trillions of dollars, and lands and houses and transportation systems and oil fields and industries. These guys are like on a different level. If they're human, and I don't know if they are or they aren't, I really don't. A case can be made for either. But if they're human, they have some superhuman influence and power and wealth, the likes of which I don't even think we have the capacity to dream about. If you were able to make some kind of simulation game about how life would be if you had $10 billion, for example, at your disposal, let alone $1 trillion or $10 trillion. What's the assets of BlackRock? They say it's like $9 to $15 trillion, BlackRock. Can you imagine what Larry Fink does every day? I can't even imagine. These people have so much power and they have so much wealth, and they probably get so bored so quick because they've pretty much done everything, been with everybody, been everywhere, that they're just looking for really crazy things to do. Like, you know, you see these movies, it's like, what should we do today? I'm done hunting elephants and lions. Hey, why don't we just capture a whole bunch of people from some city, some obscure city street in Philadelphia, and just have them run wild and tell them, hey, you know, we're going to give you food and clothing, and we're going to make sure you're in good shape for the next month. But once that month is up, we're letting you out of a cage and we're coming after you. Would not doubt it. Would not doubt it. Okay, we're done with this guy. This right here is a liar. He's an enemy of the people. He's an enemy of America and all Americans, just like his buddy Kamala, just like his buddy Donald Trump. Holy mackerel. Okay, so I wanted to I'm not going to, here's you know what? Actually, let's listen to this ad by Donald Trump.
It's coming.
I bet he wants our money. Let's see.
Down to this after years of waiting to take back our government and make America great again. This is it. Whatever you can give. Kamala is a disaster. She won't do what's right. She's not going to do what's right. She hasn't got the ability to do it. It's not going to happen. So whatever you can give, this is it. If you have the money, do it. And if you don't have the money, don't even think about doing it. Live your life and enjoy it. You'll have plenty of time to contribute to campaigns. But if you do have, final stretch, let's do it. We're going to make America great again.
Why are you
like you did the first time? Okay, so this video right here is called Philadelphia Voters Are Suddenly Leaving Democrat Party in Huge Numbers. They're leaving, the hens are leaving the D Wolf's cage and going to the R Wolf's cage. The hens, the same hens. Those hens are so smart, let me tell you. They have apprehended a level of critical thinking, the likes of which we've never seen, and they're leaving the blue wolf's cage and they're going over to the red wolf's cage as they flip off the blue wolf. Good job, hens. Good job, chickens. Okay, so listen to this.
Why are you supporting Trump?
Trump, me personally, he just straight up to the point with everything. You know what I'm saying?
Look at this
you
guy.
Gotta think about it. We could take off the magic glasses now. Everything is exposed. When I was
if you're voting for Trump, ain't nothing been exposed for you, pal. Ain't nothing been exposed. And this guy who's got this YouTube channel, I'm not his enemy, guys, but I'm getting sick of all these people just look at this. 5 days ago, it's got how many It's got almost 1.1 million views. And this is what people want to see. They want to see you on one side or the other side because they love the intrigue. They love the battle between the conflict between the Republicans and the Democrats. They love to see, especially black minorities who looks like they would be the stereotypical Democrat moving over to the Republican side. This is what people want to see. This is what really gets people's juices flowing, and this is what is leading to the demise of our country, and has led to the demise of our country. Listen to this. See if you can pick out see if your BS meter is constantly getting pegged out in everything that they say, and see if it drives you crazy that the interviewer won't ask substantive questions.
I was a convict. Now I'm Republican. I'm a business owner.
I am putting all of my hope on Donald Trump. Trump, baby drill, baby drill.
That is a religion. That is language that would be reserved for a god if there was one. This is what the Muslims say about Allah. This is what the Catholics say about Mary. This is what the Baptists say about Jesus. I am putting all my hope in Jesus. I'm putting all my hope in Allah. I'm putting all my hope in Mother Mary. She's saying, I'm putting all my hope in Donald Trump. Tell me that politics isn't a religion. And it's literally hope built on something you can objectively disprove. You know, there's a sense in which you can't really objectively disprove the Bible. You can't objectively disprove the Islamic faith. You can't objectively disprove it. You can get the people who are bringing that to you to prove it actually exists, but to prove it doesn't exist, you kind of can't do it. Politics, on the other hand, you can objectively prove that every single politician is a liar. In a sense, politics is more, it's not even more deceptive. Politics is more sinister and overtly criminal and clearly an absolute fabrication and a fairy tale. And it's provable. Matter of fact, you can prove politics is more of a fairy tale than the Easter Bunny because you can't even prove that the Easter Bunny ever existed or Santa Claus or that they have magical powers or that big fat guy who weighs 500 pounds can actually get down that small little chimney chute. And how did he get in my house when we have a wood stove? You know how small that pipe's only 8 inches. How did he get down there? Oh, it's magic. But you can prove that politicians lie. You can prove that politics is objectively not real. It's all a construct of belief, but all of our hope is in Donald Trump. What the frick?
Drill.
You know, Democrats.
I'm going to play that over. She actually said that. And this is how I think we should all respond like that. Wait, what did you just say? I almost spit my coffee all over the screen. What did you just say? All your hopes in Donald Trump? People say this about Kamala Harris too.
And I'm Republican. I'm a business owner.
I am putting all of my hope on Donald Trump.
All
Trump,
of it.
baby drill, baby drill.
You know, Democrats promise. They always know what to say, but they don't actually give anything.
The increased number of black men voting for Trump is go back to common sense. Enough's enough.
Welcome to Philadelphia.
It's literally going away. Everything that they say is happening. It's the opposite. It's a distancing yourself from common sense. It's not a getting closer. It's moving further and further away, no matter what candidate you're talking about.
Yeah.
And look at this. And just like any cult member, it's like wearing a cross around your neck. Trump Vance, Trump Vance, Trump Vance. It's a cult. It's a cult of personality.
A different Philadelphia. This is pretty much the most Harris city in the country. But I heard the place was changing, voting conservative more this year, especially the minorities. So we came here to find out if that's true.
Damn. I don't ever want to be. Do you ever want to be a part of a crowd like this? Where you're actually cheering on one regular human being that has no special powers over you and me. As a matter of fact, have you ever noticed that the powers that shouldn't be, they don't put the smartest guy up there. They don't put the most intelligent, they don't put the most moral person up there. They don't put the guy or the girl with the greatest integrity up there. They just put a slimy, scummy, less than a car salesman up there. And you know he's lying. Everybody knows he's lying. Everybody knows he's not going to do what he says he's going to do. And even if he intends on doing it, they're not going to let him.
Of Trump support in Philadelphia. Way more than I thought there'd be. I don't know. There's a big buzz around here that you don't hear about on the regular news.
You know, hats off to this guy, because if this is his footage, he's got drone footage of the Trump motorcade. And this is another thing too. Look at this. Let me just expand this right here. Let's just think about this. This really infuriates me. If you look up here, let's just do it live. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Let's look up, let's see. How much for Secret Service how much do they spend on Secret Service protection? Okay, the Secret Service annual budget for presidential protection is about 1.2 billion. Oh my God. Which is part of the Protective Operations Division's total budget of 2.7 billion. The Secret Service's total budget for 2014 fiscal year is 3.1 billion, which is a 9% increase from the previous year. Secret Service's budget includes funding for operations and support of about 87% of the budget, or $2.7 billion for operations and support. That's just for protecting a handful of people, because Obama still got Secret Service support. Clinton, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, because she was Secretary of State. There's all these people out here who get Secret Service protection. Now, it's not as much Secret Service protection as a sitting president or a presidential candidate, but you're talking about a lot of money for just a few. Like, this looks like, I mean, this is a big entourage right here. Where are we at? This is a big entourage. I mean, look at all the vehicles involved in that. And that probably doesn't even include the extra money that's spent by local law enforcement who actually goes in to support the FBI or the Secret Service or whoever is like protecting that dignitary. But you were this is an infuriating figure to protect one of the crummiest, cruddiest, scummiest people on earth, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and Tim Walz and JD Vance. I mean, they are literally out there to ruin America. You know, it'd be one thing. And even then I cringe at this. Even if the guy was totally sold out for America and there's no way he would stab one single person in the back, he's going to get rid of the international banking cartel, the IRS, domestic terror cell, the alphabet soup agencies. He's going to stop sending money abroad. He's going to start taking care of his own. Even that guy, $2.7 billion, you could justify it for him. But for these people, be like, I truly see it like this. Okay, guys, I see it as spending 2.7. No, it's $3.1 billion now. I see it as spending $3.1 billion to protect Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Kaczynski or Ted Bundy. Procurement, information technology, $400 million. National special security events. These events include presidential and vice presidential debates. That is a freaking lot of money. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm even more infuriated about it now. God, jeez.
But at this point, I'm sure you're not surprised by that.
Look at all the people. Let's go back 5 seconds. Look at all the people. That's not a cult of person. That is a cult of personality. These are card-carrying cult members guzzling the Kool-Aid.
Surprised by that.
Damn. Is our world toast?
We cannot wake up the morning after Election Day wishing we had done more. The truth is, a donation at this stage of the race really does matter.
Donald Trump's asking for money. Kamala Harris is asking for money. It's just a shameless escapade.
On the swing state tour, and we're in Philadelphia. as you can see. And I'm going to try to talk to some people here. I heard that there was a big push for the minorities were voting for Trump in much bigger numbers this year in Philadelphia. So I came to find out why and if that's true. And so we're going to drive through some of these neighborhoods and try to talk to some people today in Philadelphia and see if that's indeed the case. This is a very democratic city, one of the most democratic cities in the country, very liberal. They traditionally do not like Trump here, but we're going to find out if there's been a change. So let's go right now into some of these neighborhoods and see. Philadelphia, population 1.8 million. They say, as Philly goes, so goes the rest of the country. Pennsylvania is a must-win state, and the election might be determined right here, right on this block. Most of the state's conservative, but this big blue dot down here, it's enough to sway the whole state. So we came down here to try to get the vibe and figure out if enough people have had enough of the last 4 years and they changed their ways. That's what you hear about anyways, how the blacks and Latinos and even some middle class is voting for Donald Trump this year. Philly's changing, people say. So we drove through the middle class to pockets of town to get a better feel for it. Spent 2 days driving all over Philadelphia. Still trying to find some Trump people. We're in a little bit nicer neighborhood called
I need to hit the road. Who wants me to go to Philadelphia?
Several
God, we got
people told us
8
to
days
go
for the
to.
election day. We got to hit this.
I'm gonna go. Oh, I have to go right.
Yeah. Oh, there's one up there, Trump.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We're finding more Trump stuff up here. First day was kind of tough getting what I want.
One in the room, if you want me to hit these Democrat states, I mean, it'd be very interesting.
Asking people how they're voting. I was hoping to find people who'd say, I'm voting for Trump this year, Nick. No more Democrat for me. But that wasn't what I got at the beginning.
I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because there's one thing about Donald Trump. He just has to do one thing. He just had to say, I denounce racism. He has a hard time just saying those words.
I feel as though Trump is trying to divide everybody. He talks a lot of nonsense. He putting a lot of fear in the Caucasian heart when, you know, everybody else.
As if Kamala Harris isn't talking a lot of nonsense.
Trying to put love in their heart, and he's trying to separate us.
Is this going to be on YouTube?
It might.
All right, Nick, because she's a character.
All right. Well, talk to me about.
I'm not voting for Trump, that's for sure.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I think women have a right to do what they want to do with their body. And plus, he wants to be a dictator. Everybody knows what he's trying.
See, there's another inconsistency and hypocrisy is all these people are talking about women's rights. A woman has a right to do whatever she wants to do with her own body, unless she wants to use her body to go to the local gun store and buy an AR-15, AK-47, or high-capacity magazine or a whole bunch of bullets without getting a background check. She can't do that with her body. If she wants to keep her job, she's got to submit to the big pharma industrial complex. So she can't choose not to do that with her body, but she definitely has freedom to take a baby's life if she wants to. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Trying to be.
I mean, if there was such a thing as demonic, I would think that that would be demonic. And I'm talking about those cases. There's a very small percentage of cases where there's an abortion or a DNC. From what I've read, now I could be completely ignorant on this, but it's a very small percentage of, you know, rape and incest and threat to the mother's life. A lot of them are just because, oh, I got pregnant and I don't want to be pregnant, so I'm going to end this human life. Whatever you want to, you can call it a fetus, whatever you want to. Is it animal, vegetable, or mineral? And if it's animal, is it an elephant life? Is it a porpoise life? Is it a, I don't know, is it a lion life or is it a human life? Oh, that's right. It's a human being life. And you're the one who made the choice to get in that situation, as long as you know, it wasn't rape or incest or, you know, harm them. I mean, even if it's harming the person's, you know, even if it's a threat to the mother's life, you know, she consented to something that makes you have babies. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I feel like the government should not be involved in anything that has to do with your individual life. They have no say in what you do in your body. I don't care what you do with your body. Do I care that you might be eliminating a human being life in your body? Yeah, I care about that, but still, I don't want the state to intrude upon you. That's how I feel about it. And I think if you're going to be morally consistent, that's how you should that's how you should view it. Now, if you think I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know what you think. We might have a heated debate on that, and we might walk away disagreeing, but I think we can have a reasonable, rational discussion. So what do you guys think? Should the state have any say in the life of any human being, including women?
Okay, we don't need no dictator. Okay. We're at the top. It's horrible, you know.
What do you think Biden was and Trump was at the end? Trump at the end of his presidency and Biden at the beginning of his, they were being dictators about, Trump is like, well, I'm not going to make you take the vaccine, but I am going to make you pay for it. Biden is like, I'm going to make you pay for the vaccine and I'm going to make you take it.
I think Harris would do a great job, you know. I don't think he's going to do nothing but mess us up further.
How do you think the country's going right now?
Well, the crime rate is up, prices are up.
I always find it ironic. Let's just put it that way. I find it ironic that a person is worried about another person messing their life up when she looks like she's smoking. I see smoke coming up. She's not in the greatest of health. You can tell. I'm not dogging on the woman. I'm just giving you what I'm seeing. I always find it that people who take the least good care of themselves, bad care, or no care at all, are the ones who are concerned about what other people are going to do with their life when they are their worst enemy. They're their own worst enemy, but they're worried about what somebody else might do with their future life. It's weird.
All that's going on, you know, but I don't know why it's like that, but it is, you know. We got to get better somehow, especially with this crime, because everybody trying to move out of Philadelphia for one.
Yeah. For about a half a day, the only Trump supporter.
You know what? It's not a cliche. You want to take care of crime, empower yourself, and then tell all your neighbors they need to empower themselves, and you will have one of the safest neighborhoods anywhere. An armed society is a polite society, is not just some meaningless cliche. It's true. Criminals come to your neighborhood and they realize that everybody's packing, and they're not just packing, they know how to use it, and they're trained in self-defense tactics. They're going to find another place to go, because one thing about criminals, they want a steady, safe, working environment. They want to get out unscathed with your TV. They don't want to risk getting shot in the thigh or worse.
I could find was this guy.
Yeah, it's like, what if there were signs all over your community? We all wear body armor. We are all armed and trained how to use it, and we have at least 1 year of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I dare you to mess with us. Come on. You will leave, but you won't leave our community the way you want to leave. It will involve a body bag. Empower yourself. The government doesn't want you empowered. They want you to be a dependent.
Who appear to be drunk. No. All right. No.
Donald Trump. Very good.
Very good. Okay.
That's very good. It's very good.
And the ice cream man.
Excuse me?
For president. Who are you voting for?
I don't know right now.
You don't know?
Yeah, but right now I don't know. Okay.
Man, based on what we were just saying, check out this stat. I think I knew it was this high, but I just didn't really think deeply about it. Now I'm thinking deeply about it. According to the CDC, approximately 41.9 or 42% of American adults are considered obese. Prevalence around 42% of adults. I wonder what it was back in the 1960s. I'll be looking at it while we're going through this, but that is a huge problem. Yeah, be your own worst enemy and then ask government to give you a handout and help you when you're not even helping yourself. You know what my dad always said? One of the few things that I remember my dad saying that stuck with me, there's a couple things. But one of the things that he would say is, God helps those who help themselves. If you don't help yourself, don't expect God to help you.
So I'm not seeing a lot of Trump signs in this neighborhood.
The interviewer's mic or his volume is down because I don't think he mic'd himself. He should mic himself next time. But it's not hurting his views.
Were you saying there's not a lot of people that are talking about it?
Yes. So I've talked to other neighbors who have said that they are going to vote for Trump, who may not have voted for him in the past, but they may not publicly announce that they're going to vote for Trump. And I me personally believe that was the issue that he had with the last election, where people weren't as open.
I just found the answer to my question. Look at this. What percentage of adults today are obese? 42%. Check this out. What percentage of adults in 1960 were obese? Around 13% were considered obese in 1960, based on data from the period of 1960 to 1962. So today it's like 3.5, almost 4 times more obesity. What do you attribute that to? What year did McDonald's come online? Wasn't it in the 1950s? McDonald's opened in Des Plaines, Illinois on April 15th, 1955. Take that one, you gematria people. What does that mean? McDonald's. Come on, dude, there's got to be some kind of gematria formula. McDonald's opens in Des Plaines, Illinois, so there's probably a gematria thing for that. April 15th, 1955. And around that time, 5 years later, only 13% of Americans were obese. And I'm not implying that this is all McDonald's fault or whatever. It's an individual choice. That's why you're obese, not because of McDonald's. You're obese because of the choices that you make. So now it went from 13 to 42% in roughly 65 years. Wow, it's crazy. That's not a proper trajectory. We're going in the wrong direction. Let's open it up for, let's see, it's 8:12. We've been doing this for an hour and 11 minutes. Let's open it up to discussion for about, I don't know, do you guys even want to? Are you guys even interested in that? Here's the call-in link. Put a 1 in the room if you're interested in doing that. Like to hear from that Robert guy. Truth fears no scrutiny. So there is the link if you guys want to join. Let's keep it short because okay, we're at an hour and 12, so let's give it 8 minutes. That'd be an hour 20. I got to get out of here. I've been working at the computer all day and I'm kind of getting antsy to get out of here. What's up? Here's to you. How you doing?
Hey, Brian.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
Good. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Atlanta.
Atlanta? I was in Atlanta 8 days ago. 9 days ago.
I know. Hello?
So what's on your mind, Atlanta?
Oh, so I actually went to a Trump rally in Atlanta back in July. And I'm not for Donald Trump, but the thing is, someone told me, and someone basically told me why they think that I am like leaning more towards Trump. And I'll be honest, it's because he has better branding. And you're right. You know, it's like I listened to one of your shows earlier today, and you likened it to like I think you said something like a movie star or like a football team or something like that, like a sports team. Which one is better? That's really what it's like.
Wait a second. You kind of cut out. Did you say that somebody told you that the reason you're leaning more toward Donald Trump is because of his branding? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
He has better branding. Like his image is just better, and he's really for America. Like his branding. Not saying that he necessarily is,
right?
But his branding, and it's like as an American, I am proud to be an American because I do believe that this is the greatest country in the world that you can live in today. Like people are literally dying to get here. Like I believe this is the greatest country. Like we have so many freedoms, and it's great. And so because I believe that way. Trump, he just appeals more to like your average country loving American who wants to just be left alone, raise their family. They're not, like some crazy weirdo who wants, who believes in like 15 different genders. The majority of people in his base don't believe that. And I really wish I could have came out to Duluth, but I was working that day. But I really would have loved to have gotten on the show and just, talk to you. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Like his branding is better when his image and, brand marketing and branding is everything. And what do people say? Perception is reality. It really is. It's so true. Like his branding, his commercials, just his image, you know, even the slogan, like how it looks, you know, the lettering and the font, it's just better.
I totally agree with you. I mean, you can't get a better slogan than "Make America Great Again." Now it's "Make America Healthy Again." Every time he comes out on the stage, no matter what rally it is, Lee Greenwood singing, "I'm proud to be an American," and it's got those tones and it's got the chord progression and it moves emotions. He's a master marketer. He really is.
And, you know, I'll say this, like when I went to that Trump rally, that was my first ever rally. I didn't find out until like after Kamala, she had came here. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know she was here either, because I really don't follow this stuff, because I'm not registered to vote and I'm not going to vote. Although if I was going to vote, you know, I would vote for Trump. And I know I have some friends who are voting for him, and, you know, we talk like all the time, and it's like, I'm in agree. It's so funny, like the spot that I'm in, because it's like, I don't vote. But at the same time, it's like, I like Trump's image. You know, it's almost like this. I'm not a sports fan. But, you know, the Georgia Bulldogs are a huge team here. So I didn't go to UGA or anything like that, but I do go to the games to support, because it's like it's a social thing. You know, it's just like, that's all it is. It's a social thing. And for me, you know, talking about one particular candidate or taking sides for one particular candidate, it's a social thing to a degree, because some of the people that are in my circle, the ones who I, you know, like the best, they're voted for him. And so it's not like I'm not saying that I'm like supporting him because so I can fit in with them. That's not the reason. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just the whole thing of this, Brian, is also kind of fun. It's kind of fun too to get in on the action. Like when I was at that Trump rally, I watched your video where you were talking about, you were showing people at a Trump rally. You were like, look at them, how they're all like, you know, screaming and they're calling his name. That was me, Brian. That was me. I got to tell you, it was fun. It was fun. Like I was super close to when Donald Trump came out. Like I made it in the stand. Like I stood outside an hour and a half. I got good seats. You know, it was really fun. The crowd was great. There was no crazy people. There was no protesters. You know,
on the
it was
one
just
hand,
fun.
on the one hand, it's masterful and it's interesting and it's psychologically just riveting, because you know that there are certain buttons that anybody on the outside could push in any single one of us and get us to jump through whatever hoop. It's like Pavlov's dog, only we're human beings reacting to the outside stimulus. But like Edward Bernays said, we are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes are formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we have not met. So in one way, it's so interesting how it works, and in the other way, it's so insidious, because the way they're using it is to demean and demoralize us. Hey, thank you for calling in, but I gotta give some room to the other callers. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. Bye. Derek, boy, you need to wipe your camera or something, unless you want it to be fuzzy like that. You're on, Derek. Derek, are you there? Derek, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. And I got to.
If I'm on there, Brian, I can't.
Oh, there
hear
you go. What's up, Derek?
I have some kind of crappy phone, and I'm not sure it'll actually even work correctly. But thank you for letting me on. Either way,
I can hear you.
My wife's trying to pull you up, so maybe I can hear you through her phone.
Well, in the words of Journey, I see you in a smoky room. You need to wipe your lens, man.
But
Derek,
if it doesn't work, feel free to move on to the next person.
You can't hear me, can you, Derek?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right, I'm going to remove you.
I'm here.
Derek, I'm going to give you 5 seconds.
If I'm on there, Brian, I can't hear you.
Yeah, you got to turn your volume down, because now I'm getting reverb.
Some kind of crappy phone, and I'm not sure it'll actually work correctly. But
Man, I got to move on, Derek. All right, sorry, Derek. I'll add you to the stage when you. Hey, Ron Blevins, how you doing, man?
Oh, hey, how are you doing, young man? I love what you're doing, dude. I swear to God, I do. I've been watching. from before the pandemic and everything, your street interviews, I absolutely love what you're doing. You're one of the few that are really out there making a difference for real.
Some people would just say I'm really out there and drop off the last part.
Oh man. No way, dude. Your message is shining. That's why you're gaining, subscriptions and everything. You're getting there, dude. Man, we need more of you.
Well, my algorithm or my analytics tells me a different story. So thanks. I appreciate it, man.
Oh man.
So what's on your mind, Ron? I appreciate the accolades, by the way. I truly am humbled by him. Go ahead.
Oh man, it's totally from the heart. Just that I don't believe that our country has been a republic that has been controlled by we the people for a very long time, even since I'm thinking 1781. The Admiralty
Maritime Admiralty law.
Absolutely. Since then, we've been connected to the city of London, and also by de facto the Vatican as well. And the people that are pulling strings have been in families for centuries, since from Babylon to the Bolshevik Revolution, to Napoleon, to the takeover of the city of London, to the creation of the IMF, the entire thing. It's actually easy to see looking into history, but nobody's. I mean, there's no talk about that at all. There's no talk about the lineage from this, except for like us crazy people.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think about the Trump versus Kamala Harris thing and the psychological operation that underpins that?
Man, this whole thing is a stage show that we're watching. We haven't had a leader since before since the beginning of the 1700s. Really, we haven't had a leader. Every one of our leaders have been controlled Freemasons, controlled by the ADL, or controlled by whatever organization is going to pay them from the beginning. And we the people have been fed this huge bowl of lies, and we're eating it like ramen soup. And it's we've never been in control. We the people, never. It's always been the power, the money power.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, man. Hey, appreciate you coming on, Ron. Ron, are you there? Ron, I don't know if you can hear me, but I appreciate you coming aboard. Take care. All right. I'm going to end it right here. Maybe one day we can talk about, I don't know. There's something on my mind, but I think I'll share it for another time. Hey, we went to the devastation areas, some of the worst devastation areas we could find over in Chimney Rock and Lake Lure. We tried to get as close to Chimney Rock as possible, and weren't able to make it all the way because the road was out. But if you guys are interested and you haven't seen the last video that I posted, I'm going to put a link in the chat. Just as kind of and for a parting gift, we're just going to kind of do that. I appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thanks for making this channel and the Here's the Deal channel possible. And remember, it's not the majority who will prevail, but the outright and tireless minority who are keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. Appreciate you guys. Take care.